Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to NFA Live. A little bit of a change in service today. You will notice that you'll notice that it's not on Rob's channel for a start, and you'll notice that neither Rob nor Ben are here. But fortunately, I am joined by my regular sparring partner, Nick. Nick, good to see you, sir.
Here we are again, man. Yeah, unfortunately, we couldn't join them over at Bitcoin Vegas. You know, we missed out on the epic Into the Cryptoverse party. I've heard it's legendary.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Ben and Rob, as most of you will probably be aware, are in Las Vegas at the moment. I think it's about 6 a.m. there, so I imagine they are still in bed. So they decided it was going to be a bit of a stretch for them to join today. So Nick and I thought we would just hop on ourselves and just have, I don't know, a slightly more relaxed, slightly more general kind of chat about everything that's been going on at the moment. And as I said in the reminder video, if you saw that, we would really like some input from you guys as well. We always get great comments and questions from you, but keep them coming today. We're going to try and answer some of them. And if there are any talking points, anything you kind of like us to discuss, then post them in the comments and we will endeavor to answer them as best we can. There's a few things we want to talk about. I mean, Nick, before, obviously, as you'll have probably guessed, I want to talk a little bit about Ethereum because as I'm sure you will have noticed, ETH is pretty much the only thing that's been performing well today.
The lone green candle in a sea of red, yes. Exactly. Who would have thought that just a month ago?
Who would have thought it? Absolutely. But I thought we could firstly kind of touch a little bit on the Bitcoin conference, seeing as that's why we've got a slightly different format for the show today. Just some of the things coming out from that. It's day 3 today. Ross Ulbricht is talking today.
Is he? Wow. Okay, that probably would be one of the ones I want to watch the most.
Yeah.
I think it's the first time he's spoken. Well, obviously he's released statements and everything after him being released, but now this could probably be there's a lot more hearing about what happened with him and what he thinks post freedom and all this kind of stuff. That'll be really interesting.
Yeah. I kind of hope that I'm sure it'll be a very kind of revealing talk about like what the last few years have been like and what it feels to be free. And I'm sure he'll give his thoughts on Bitcoin as well. But I kind of hope that it's just that. I mean, I'd be a bit wary if he's got some sort of new business idea. Mind you, like, I guess he's had long
enough coin launch. New meme coin launch. Here's the CA.
I think that's what
Silk Road coin, guys. Buy in. It's a flavor now, man. I mean, wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. I think as long as he doesn't announce a meme coin or anything like that, which let's face it, would be a pretty ballsy move at the Bitcoin conference. Like you'd have to take your hat off just for the sheer chutzpah of it. But
that's true.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll just get some pearls of wisdom and maybe some philosophical musings on what's next for Bitcoin and what's next for crypto in general. I think that would be really interesting. I think jail in the crypto industry is not that bad.
SPF is going to come out. He's going to be the keynote speaker. SPF is going to be the next keynote speaker at Token 2049 in 2080 or something.
You laugh, but like I honestly would not bet against that. I think at some point, like, SBF will probably address one of these conferences from prison or like recently released, and it'll just be like, what? How is this happening? How is this going on? So I'm just looking through. I've been sort of following things on Bitcoin Magazine. We also had, so I think it was yesterday, Pakistan announced the establishment of a strategic Bitcoin reserve. So it's not just the US.
It's the vogue, man. Everyone's doing it now. It wasn't just them. What was the other countries that announced recently as well? It wasn't CZ and Binance doing some sort of consulting with a country that also wanted to do a strategic reserve.
I think that was Pakistan, though, wasn't it?
There was another country as well, but there was a few that have been using it for sure.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, it's definitely seems to be in the vogue right now. And now, given the rivalry that Pakistan and India usually have, you probably see Mr. Narendra Modi coming out in a week's time. He's not going to be outdone by Pakistan. He's going to come and they're going to do an Indian crypto strategic reserve. Maybe, you never know. Geopolitical rivalry is now extended to how quickly one state can stack sats.
Yeah, this is the new race. This is the new race, like a strategic reserve. So Pakistan are kind of off for a better start than India, assuming India haven't been stacking behind the scenes, which is, I think, something that could be happening. Like, again, I think we discussed this when, talk of a US strategic Bitcoin reserve was coming out a lot. We're sort of like, well, yeah, if you're a country, would you announce that you're planning to stack or whatever, or would you just stack like hell behind the scenes? And
yeah, I mean, some people think China's been doing that, right? Essentially, from some of that has been either seized or potentially also mining. There's been theories around the CCP using miners and mining Bitcoin. So, yeah, from a geopolitical, from a signaling perspective, obviously you don't want to, if you are thinking of accumulating and you're a massive state using game theory, you wouldn't want to necessarily announce it because that would pump the price and then it would impact on your entry point. But somehow I don't think that the bids that Pakistan is going to be putting on Bitcoin is going to lead to a massive rally.
Okay, well,
not throwing shade, just saying.
Well, we'll see. Yeah, I think like any one country doing it, unless it's sort of China or
Bhutan. Sorry, that was one as well. Yeah.
Bhutan. Oh yeah.
Yeah, but that was last year. I think they were even mentioning last year they were accumulating.
Bhutan is way ahead of the curve. I mean, Bhutan is like is mining with hydroelectricity. They're stacking sats. They're going to be a powerhouse.
Yeah, indeed. So what else is going on in the Bitcoin conference? I saw someone said there was a Peter Schiff speech at the conference. Unfortunately, I didn't watch it, but he got a booth. He got a booth there as well. Peter Schiff. Yeah. But to be fair, he's got a bank, I think, out in Puerto Rico, and so he does make the most of the marketing of it. And I think he's capitalizing on the anti-Bitcoin narrative, and he's become quite a celebrity in that sense. So he's capitalizing on it.
Yeah, I got to say, I mean, I think I said this. I think I said this last week on the stream, but like, good on him for doing that. Like for going to the Bitcoin conference. Talk about walking into the lion's den. I respect Peter Schiff for that, because like
Bitcoiners are pretty friendly people, no, Guy?
yeah. There's no unhinged Bitcoiners at all out there. They're all the sanest people on earth. No, to be fair, like when I remember we went to the conference in Miami in 2022, and it was really cool. Like we met so many nice people. I kind of think all the sort of lunatics probably just, if they saw us, kind of, just ignored us and didn't hassle us. But there were loads of nice people there. But still, like, Peter Schiff, although I'm told like Peter Schiff is apparently a really lovely guy in person. Like these people who've had like sort of big, debates with him and arguments with him, apparently he's a real gentleman.
And he did call out Celsius.
He did, yeah.
He did. So
respect to Peter Schiff. The bad news, though, Nick, is that as I showed earlier on that tweet that I shared, the Bitcoin conference is going to be in Vegas again next year.
Again? Why did they move it around?
Yeah, I thought that was the kind of point, that it was now going to move around. Like, so it was Miami a few years ago, then it was Nashville last year, wasn't it? And then Vegas. It was. I got the impression that it was kind of now going to ping around various American cities, but it looks like they're going back to Vegas.
I mean, honestly, yeah. I mean, it's not very accessible for people like our side of the world, right?
The UAE.
The UAE. Literally, there is no direct flight. No, is there? No, there isn't. I don't think there was. No, it's unfortunate. No. Yeah. So that's quite a journey. If it was Miami, maybe New York, better location, I think. I mean, Vegas, to be fair, probably the best location for people in the US or in Americas. But Bitcoin Miami would have been cool again.
Yeah, Miami was a cool city, wasn't it? I enjoyed visiting that.
Consensus is held in Miami next year, I think.
Let's face it. There's so many crypto conferences happening. If there's a city, in the world that you want to visit, chances are there'll be a crypto conference there at some point.
Token 2049 in Pyongyang. Let's go.
Now that I would be interested.
You can meet the real ETH whales, the ones who hacked the.
Somehow, Nick, I can't see it. But so that's the Bitcoin conference. Lots of other stuff happening around there. There doesn't seem to have been any sort of massive announcement out of it. But again, I don't think anyone was kind of really expecting that, were they? Like, JD Vance spoke, I think, yesterday and sort of said, Bitcoin's great, blah, 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 blah. It's like, yeah, well, we knew that. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. I mean, it was a lot of platitudes. Eric Trump and Donald Trump Jr. have a price prediction of 170K. So, if for what that's worth, although when they first asked Eric Trump, he said, what's the minimum price Bitcoin could reach this year? And Eric Trump said the moon, which, pretty much.
Well, he's obviously learned the lingo. Like he's
learned the lingo. He's playing to the crowd. So, it's good. He's cracked out that crypto dictionary. Pretty soon he's going to be tweeting GM and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that I kind of feel will be a top signal. As soon as one of the Trump boys, or even Trump himself, as soon as they tweet just GM, sell everything.
Yeah. well, his ETH. I mean, we come back to ETH. I mean, his ETH tweet. I think it's still down from his ETH tweet. Now's a good time to buy ETH. Maybe I need to double check that. But ETH has been doing pretty well recently, right?
It has, yeah, it has. Just before we move on to that, how is your Afrikaans, Nick? Is like.
My Afrikaans, dis goed. My ma's Afrikaans, so ek kan dit verstaan en praat, maar nie te goed nie. Maar ja.
How about that, folks? How about that?
Yeah.
I mean, he could have just been making noises for all I know. I don't speak a word of Afrikaans, but okay, Nick. Well, if anyone's
wondering, bloody Engelse man op die stream met my. Ek kan nie verstaan nie. You'll have to find out what that means later, Guy. You'll have to find out what that means later.
I kind of got the gist of that, I think. So anyone wanting to organize an Afrikaans crypto conference, there you are. You have your first speaker right there. Okay. Yeah, let's talk about ETH. Jeff is wondering who will win the Champions League. Jeff, you're asking the wrong people. I don't know. Who is it? PSG Inter? I'm going to say PSG. There we are. You heard it here first. Let's talk about ETH because it's outperforming today, which is something that you don't see very often. Let's face it. Any thoughts on why that might be?
I think there's a few things. Obviously, going into it, it was one of the most shorted. It was one of the most hated assets. More recently, I think that it was. I think news yesterday that there was this company, Circle Link or Link something, that was going to be running the ETH, the strategy with Ethereum, or the strategy with Ethereum. So there can be accumulation going on there. I think it was just it was a relief rally that was many people thought would happen. Whether it's something that's going to be sustained is a broader debate, but I think that and then I think this comes back to the question around ETH as an asset and Ethereum as a network. I think that ETH as an asset, there's questions around value accrual from the network to ETH and the fundamentals. Well, technically, it's been rallying because of technical factors, right? Overshorted and the lockdown on the bottom. But whether there's like a sustained rotation right now, because another data point you can look at is the Ethereum ETF inflows. They've been very, very weak, right? So that means it's probably just either spot or leverage-driven rally going on right now, and accumulation by on-chain whales, which seems to be happening. But I think that's what's caused a lot of the pump recently. But it's well-deserved for all the ETH bag holders out there.
Myself included, yeah. ETH inflows into the ETFs have been picking up. Am I? Oh no, I need to share. I need to add that to the stage. They're improving. I mean, let's face it. If you compare them to BTC, then obviously it's kind of small potatoes. But we'll take what we can get, us ETH holders.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing to think about is also in terms of this question of the playbook of buying crypto assets to add to balance sheets, the MicroStrategy playbook. I will note that many of the companies had been skipping over ETH and been doing it into Sol. Now, I mean, I don't hold Sol. I mean, I think it's a question of like, do you think that why they're doing that? I mean, there's been one or two that are running the ETH. Well, one now that's been announced. Only one I know that is running the MicroStrategy playbook with ETH, trying to accumulate ETH. But most of the others, 21 shares, Sol strategies, all these others have been moving towards Solana. Then there's been some that have tried to do. I saw one in Dubai or in UAE looking to do it with XRP. So there's a few companies doing that, but it seems they're all skipping over ETH, which is like, why is that? That's what I don't know.
Yeah, it is telling that. It is telling. It kind of suggests that mindshare is sort of moving on to Ethereum's competitors. And I guess especially from an outsider's point of view, or someone kind of relatively unfamiliar with the crypto space, Solana is sort of a slightly easier proposition, isn't it? Like, you haven't got this huge like constellation of layer 2s and then layer 3s kind of orbiting around it. It's just like, this is a very fast and cheap chain. Ethereum, is actually quite cheap to use if you use a layer 2, but obviously that takes a fair bit of explanation. Like Solana, and to be fair, other L1s, like, it's just an easier proposition to understand, isn't it?
Bridging to layer 2s isn't super simple. And also the bridging takes some time. Like, I was just doing some bridging yesterday onto Hyperliquid, doing some stuff, and 15 or 60 minutes. Yeah, just 15 to 60 minutes waiting is something that, if you're in crypto, that's everything, man. 15 to 60 minutes. Yeah. If you want to hop onto a meme coin, nah, man, you can't wait. So, I guess it is the UX experience of these different segmented layer 2s. And then also, if you're on one layer 2, how do you bridge into another? Whereas Solana, the whole monolithic argument. But yeah, I mean, I personally think that ETH is still going to, the network is still trusted by institutions. Look at all these RWAs being issued. It's still calling into question the future of Ethereum as a network. I can't claim that. But what I think is the price. It's difficult to see the value accrue to the price in the long term. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, any mention of Solana instantly kicks people off in the comments. But I did see a question from Lobster Fusion that I wanted to touch on. Did you start taking some profits on BTC? I mean, I don't know about you, Nic, but I have got no intention of taking profits on BTC anytime soon.
Put it into what, Guy? That filthy fiat into another altcoin? It's I view my Bitcoin stack as sacrosanct for long-term wealth preservation. And even if I wanted to basically get altcoin exposure and I had no stablecoin dry powder to do it, I would then just consider doing trades on futures instruments, right? Because if you view altcoins as just it's a short-term way to get beta exposure to Bitcoin, that's probably the way to do it. But as a stock standard wealth preservation asset that you hodl for life, hodl as long as you see the financial system collapsing, I would obviously bring in Bitcoin.
Yeah. No, I'm the same. Like, I just I don't see any other asset that I want to hold instead of BTC. Everything else is fair game as far as profit taking is concerned. And actually, when ETH rallied, was it 2 or 3 weeks ago, I took a bit of profit on that. I also took a bit of profit on some SUI that I was holding because that was rallying around the same time. Like, that's been one of my aims this cycle, is to be better at taking profits, because I round tripped. I mean, I did take some profits last cycle, but I round tripped a lot. And I'm just determined not to do that again. And, it does sort of feel like the build up to it, like, should I sell? Should I not? Like, actually, once you've done it, it feels quite good, because you're then sort of able to just go and, focus on something else. I'm quite good at not dwelling on it once I've done it. It's like, okay, profit banks, move on, focus on whatever else is important.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah. So, not financial advice, anyone, but So, short answer, Lobster Fusion, not planning to take profits on BTC anytime soon. Like, the only scenario where I would sell some BTC or offload some BTC would be if I wanted to fund a fairly major purchase, a house or a rotating, a low orbit Death Star. something like that. So, if anyone's selling low orbit Death Stars, I'm in the market for them, by the way. Nick, did you sell your SUI bag? I didn't sell my whole SUI bag, I should say.
I still hold my SUI bag. I did sell my soul. I did sell my soul rotated into hype.
Okay.
Yeah. I just closed it on the Coin Bureau Club on the weekend. Yeah, because my view is like the reasoning for this is because I look at a barbell strategy, and if I look at my crypto portfolio on the lower risk side, being Bitcoin, and on the high, and then I don't want to just like have anything in the middle really, and then on the higher risk side, I've got my general purpose layer one play, which is SUI, and I think in terms of potential for the cycle, SUI probably more so, and then in terms of like the best product market fit crypto product out there with generating the most fees and demonstrating the most user onboarding has been Hyperliquid. So far that trade has gone well. With how long I'll stay in it, all this kind of stuff. I'm basically also doing some staking strategies and some yield farming strategies there as well. We'll see.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, because I was sort of I haven't bought any hype, and I'm sort of thinking that I might. I don't know how I'd fund it, whether I'd put stables into it, or I mean, I kind of see what you mean about rotating out of Sol, because I still think there's a lot of upside for Sol, but like even I suppose if you just look at market caps, the upside for Hyperliquid is way more. I kind of feel everything that's happening with Solana. Like I'm really curious to see what happens with this new phone. I'm really curious to see what happens with Fire Dancer, all these sorts of things.
Yeah, also, and like last week was the One in Conference Accelerator, the conference in New York, right? And there was supposed to be a lot of announcements coming out of it, which would have helped, create some FOMO around the price. I don't know. I haven't been following them too much, but I don't think it really did. And SUI, in terms of, we obviously were at SUI Basecamp, and we saw we saw how big the excitement was. And I think in terms of like general purpose L1s, in terms of the tech, what's been built there, in terms of the unique, novel Move programming language, and also the way, like some people could debate whether what they did with the CETUS, how they responded in terms of issuing them a loan and stuff. But I think that in terms of momentum right now in the SUI ecosystem, strong. And similarly on hype, like, everyone's talking about it.
Yeah. I go on crypto Twitter, and like the number, it's actually getting a bit annoying now. Like the number of people you see tweeting blah 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 Hyperliquid. You're just like, oh god, just shut up already. But it's impossible to ignore the mind share that it's got. And as you say, there's real sort of good product market fit there. And should you fade hype? Hype as in excitement. Should you fade the hype on hype? It's kind of difficult to ignore. Sometimes these things are kind of staring you in the face. So yeah, I haven't ruled out getting into hype. It's just whether I put some of my stable dry powder in it, whether I rotate out a Sol, that'll be something I'll ponder this weekend, perhaps.
All of these are so very correlated, right? I think, like, especially in the altcoin sector, right? And that's why I look at it as a barbell strategy. How, in terms of more broadly, how much more will SUI outperform Sol versus SUI? I mean, I think that at the margins, not so much, but it's like you're not going to be losing out on anything massive by not being exposed to Sol if you're exposed to SUI, because I think that basically they compete in this landscape of like this. There's so much. The crypto market has got so much more to grow in terms of we're so early that I don't think it's going to be one meets all in terms of the general purpose L1 space. We're clear that Ethereum, SUI, Solana, probably maybe one or two other L1s are probably now got most of the market share. Anything out of that is going to struggle. But now that they're there, I think that they're going to all command a similar amount of share, and it's not going to be one takes all.
Yeah, I think you're right. I have to ask you this, Nick, because I know this is at the intersection of two things that you know more about than almost anyone alive, and that is crypto and watches. Have you seen this? I've heard about this, but I haven't seen it. Did you see the new Solana Frank Muller?
Yeah. The Solana Frank Muller watch. Yeah. I mean, I ordered one. I can't wait to wear it in Paris.
I detect, Nick, just a hint of sarcasm in your voice there. A little bit.
Dude, Yeah, I tweeted about this. I was like, basically, no, I mean, I'm obviously joking. There's no goddamn way I'd buy this. A, I don't want to get wrench attacked. And B, it's like a walking contraceptive if you've seen what it looks like. It's like, that's how I tell that guy's got massive, that guy's a crypto guy. Let me stay the hell away from him.
You just say what's on your mind, Nick. I mean, don't hold back. Hang on, I found a picture of this, so I'm just going to. So this is what Gianni is talking about.
That would hurt anyone's eyes. Like that would basically be. I mean, it's not even. It doesn't look like a, like a classic, nice, understated Swiss watch. Some of them are a bit garish, but just the color, the dials. It's just, who was designing this? And unfortunately, it came out at this time. The only thing was, I just crypto merch like that. I find it incredibly garish.
Yeah, it looks a bit like a kid's watch.
Exactly, that's what I thought, right?
Yeah.
it's. I mean, there have been crypto watches before. I think there was a Bitcoin. There was a Bitcoin Hublot some time back or something, which actually was a bit more understated. A nice little B somewhere, on the dial or something. That's cool. But it's like, damn.
Yeah, that is. Yeah, I got to say, that is an ugly ass watch. I don't know much about watches. In fact, I know virtually nothing about watches. But I know ugly when I see it, and that is horrible.
You know what's even crazy about this, and why it's so stupid, is because that QR code is an address, right? So talk about you literally walking around with on your wrist, someone scans your QR code, they can see how much you've got. Supposedly, I mean, that's probably the reason why they want to have it there.
Yeah,
but
it's that sort of thing. It's like, well, it's kind of. It's bad timing to launch this sort of thing, isn't it? Because it's like IRL attacks on crypto holders are increasing. A lot of big cities, especially in Europe, if you go around with a nice watch on, chances are someone's going to take it off you. So to be sort of going around with, well, I wouldn't call that a nice watch, but certainly an expensive watch, and that says crypto.
Something. How much is 20 something? Yeah.
Yeah,
spend $20,000 to get wrenched for $5 and lose everything in the process. You bought an experience, mate, and you bought a hard lesson.
Yeah. I got to say, watches. They don't really. I'm not really interested in watches at all. But I certainly would not go near that with a 10-foot pole for many reasons. Yeah, most especially because it's bloody horrible. Lawnmower is also asking, Nick, a few comments about this light behind you, Nick. Do you play the Roxan drinking song with that lamp you've got?
What that? I need to educate myself. What is the Roxan drinking song?
So this is when you're drinking and Roxanne by the police. Roxanne, you don't have to put on the red light. Have you
oh, guys, I don't drink, and you seem you like that song, so you can come and play it in my place, and I'll specially get you a drink so you can play it for you, and you can enjoy.
It's a great tune, but you're supposed to drink whenever he sings Roxanne, and obviously as the song goes on, I think as you get towards the end, he's just screaming the word Roxanne again and again. So. I'm glad I was able to educate you on that.
I learned something new every day, man. That's cool.
Yeah, you're the richer for it. Okay, so what were we talking about before I went off on that tangent about watches? Can you remember?
Portfolios.
Oh yeah. Well,
yes, got into that. Yeah.
A few questions. Let me see what else I'm seeing. Liz McCord asked an interesting one. Anyone else besides me think there is fractional lending going on behind the scenes with Saylor's BTC buying? How is he not moving BTC price very much? Is this a time bomb waiting to explode?
That's a very good question. Well, I mean, so this is all spurred on by the statement he made yesterday, I believe, in which he said he doesn't want to do proof of reserves because he's worried about privacy. Now, this is an interesting point, because he does have a point in the sense that, okay, if someone knows your public address, it's obviously hackers will try and find a way to get there. Obviously, it's very hard with strong custodians in that, but that is a truth. But it's still a question of exchanges do proof of reserves all the time. Many people may say, well, if you're not doing proof of reserves, you're telling us to basically trust you. And in crypto, they say Bitcoin, they say don't trust, verify. The chances of Saylor actually doing this in terms of fractional reserve, very unlikely. It's just but why it hasn't moved the price, to be fair, I think that the execution of these buys is done over TWAP or time weighted average price over a longer period of time. Sometimes it's done through OTC throughout the week. The execution is very professional to the extent that it doesn't move that it shouldn't move the price. And indeed, some of those times you've seen Bitcoin has gone up a little bit in the week prior. And remember, when he makes the announcement of the buy took place over a period of time, the whole week last week. So
yeah, it's it does seem like I don't know. We're just sort of putting together a video on like, how potentially under the SEC, this new very lax regime under Paul Atkins, which is coming in, there is a sense that like anything goes, anything is going to go with crypto in the next sort of year or so, and like that could kind of blow up. So I think everyone's sort of watching Saylor quite carefully, and I guess maybe one of the reasons why he doesn't want his wallets visible is if he starts selling, it will literally panic.
Yeah, that's true.
Everyone will just go absolutely bananas. So in a way, I guess there's a lot to be said for those wallets not being known.
Yeah, to be fair, I think Arkham did manage to identify some.
They did, yeah.
So Arkham, they basically managed to identify one or two and put it up there. So it's hard to accumulate that amount of Bitcoin and not leave traces somewhere, right? So it's interesting.
Yeah. Mike Bennett has a good question to ask. So the Solana watch sings Roxan for the alarm. If that was a feature, Nick, could we tempt you?
Only if it had your voice, Guy.
Well, if the people from Frank Muller and Solana want to get in touch, maybe there's something we can do, guys. Maybe there's something we can do. We might struggle to get the rights from Sting. But like the juice would definitely be worth the squeeze, I think. Okay, I'm just sort of cycling through some of the questions. We did actually have a few that our team picked out for us earlier. So Sir Foxy asked, Guy, can you give us a detailed update on all this Bitcoin? Not Bitcoin dominance again. Bitcoin dominance, please. And Nick, can you give us a detailed update on your workout routine, please? I should say, Sir Foxy, like Nick and I have discussed this before. Nick's workout routine, that's going straight behind the paywall. There ain't no way you are getting that stuff for free.
Yeah, man, I'm getting more questions about my workout routine than crypto, to be honest. Maybe I should just go and be a personal trainer, man. Go and start my own Instagram fitness influencer, do my own morning routine, like video, and just.
Look, man, that is bear market talk right there. Well, Bitcoin dominant. I mean, it wouldn't be an episode of NFA Live without a slight digression on Bitcoin dominance, or if Ben was here, quite a long digression on Bitcoin dominance. I should actually say, for anyone who's sort of recently joined and is asking what the hell is going on, where are Ben and Rob? Just to update you, they are in Las Vegas at the Bitcoin conference. I think the Into the Cryptoverse party was last night. So, well, I would say they may well still be in bed, but who knows? They may well still be up. They may
be at the after party, Into the Cryptoverse after party. So,
yeah. I mean, let's face it, that is going to be wild, right? Yeah. So rather than skip a week, Nick and I just thought we'd just hop on a stream, do it a little more informally, just kind of shoot the breeze a little bit and answer questions and comments from people as we go along. So I hope you guys are enjoying the format. This is, let us know what you think of the format. Maybe we could do it more often if there's demand for it. But it's kind of a little bit of a placeholder, and I think we will be back on Rob's channel next week as well. So don't worry, NFA hasn't changed permanently. It's just a little, it's just a little disrupted because of that Bitcoin conference / massive industry party that is happening over in Las Vegas at the moment. Because obviously the crypto industry likes to treat itself to a party, sort of on a monthly basis, really, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what most of these tend to devolve into. It's like BD, mostly for the BD side. I think that in terms of conferences that I've, like Token 2049, Bitcoin, or the Bitcoin conference, and like Consensus is more B2B, I think. Whereas the likes of ETH Denver, these Solana, Breakpoint, Sui, Basecamp, these are more dev focused. So, it's interesting to know which kind of conference you're going to, for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Nicholas R is asking, Nick, you work out with the elite gym bros there? I think they have one of the best gyms in the world there.
Which gym is the elite gym bros? I don't know what that is. Is that like a chain or something? Unless he's talking about the gym in our office, which is elite,
the gym in the same building as our office, not the gym in our office.
To clarify, it's not it's a full bull market when I get my own personal gym in the office. It will replace the studio.
Yeah, Nick just live streaming from
away from the studio, live stream from the gym. Yeah, no, we've got a nice gym in the office building that we're in. It's quite famous there's a famous influencer runs it. I believe Andrew Tate is a big. He goes there regularly. And if everyone who comes here, or the MMA fighters who come into Dubai, go to this gym. Wow. Or the Olympians.
I occasionally see in the lobby of our building some frankly ridiculously put together people. Like there's one guy with shoulders about that wide. It's crazy.
I saw some guy yesterday. I'm like, I don't know what they're feeding you, where you come, what's in your genes. I don't know. Clearly lots of growth hormone or something.
Yeah, there's definitely some juicing going on in that gym. It's scary, but some very interesting looking humans. Joe just saying, oh, Dubai. Yes, it is very Dubai. It is very Dubai. Okay. Now I've starred a few questions in the chat. I wanted to see if there were some more crypto ones that people had been asking. Let's have a look and see. This is an interesting point by Discovering Florida, Realtor Renata. BTC supply and demand imbalance is way higher than the price reflects. I've got to say I agree with that. Like, I was looking through headlines today. Obviously, as we discussed earlier, there's talk of Pakistan establishing its own strategic Bitcoin reserve. There are all these Bitcoin treasury companies springing up now, all trying to be the next strategy, all basically trying to imitate what Michael Saylor and co have done. And a demand from institutions, increasing demand from the spot ETFs, which we talked about in the news on Monday. And I kind of think, actually for Bitcoin it set a new all-time high just recently, but for Bitcoin to sort of be only a little bit above 100K under these conditions, it does kind of feel like it is undervalued. Like there should be much higher to go from here.
Yeah, exactly. I wanted to share. Let me see if I can find my screen here. Just share if I can add to stage as well. So this is basically a thread that I pushed yesterday. It was interesting in this perspective of supply and demand imbalance. This basically took a look at the OTC balance on OTC desks, on known OTC desks from Glassnode, and you can see that trend. Look at this; it's like going down and down and down. So essentially, this shows that this potential supply crunch coming to the OTC desks could therefore impact on, of course, price, because now once the OTC dealers are out of supply, they're going to have to go and start bidding on exchanges. And if you look at what's happened on the public exchange reserves, that's the lowest it's been in many, many years. And this is in the backdrop with all this accumulation taking place on the ETFs, on the public companies. So even though now, price is kind of sideways over the past few days, in terms of looking forward and ahead, is this massive supply and demand imbalance that has to be reflected in the price eventually.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. That one you pulled up about the OTC desks especially is really interesting, isn't it? Because obviously so many of these big deals, I guess the ETFs and any big institutional buys, any big buys by central banks or whatever, are going to be done OTC. So perhaps that's a better indication than the exchange balances. That is sort of more retail.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So this is big supply shock. Many are wondering if it's going to come.
Yeah. Okay. There were some other questions that I saw come up. Brett Thompson, who I must say is one of the best commenters we have, regular watcher. Thank you, Brett. Thanks for singing, Guy. My cat's bolted off my lap, and now I can get up to refill my drink. You are welcome, sir. Actually, there was another comment from Brett that I wanted to flag, but for some reason I flagged that one. This is an interesting question from Nafis Ahmed. He says, we've all spoken about the highs. How low do you think BTC can go in this bear market? I think that's a really good question.
Very good question. Yeah.
Probably the sort of question that we should be answering at a time like this, or that we should be at least considering at a time like this, when everything is so frothy, the consensus is we're just going higher and higher. Maybe we should be thinking about how low we can go.
Well, it's difficult really, because generally bear market drawdowns are determined by where Bitcoin tops out, right? So we still haven't topped out. If you think we're going to go above 150, 170, 200 or whatever, where we top out this cycle. And that's if you believe this is the cycle that follows a typical cycle, versus many who think potentially it could be a super cycle, all this kind of stuff, which is potentially possible if you have nation state accumulation, central bank accumulation, supply shock, all of that. Yeah, I mean, it's generally, if you want to look at historical precedents, it's about 50% in a bear market drawdown. Obviously, that has become less so as we've progressed out, and it's become more of an established asset. But it really does depend on where we top out.
Yeah, because I think if we do go significantly higher from here, which is certainly possible, then 100K could quite easily, I think, become a zone of a support. Like, it'd be very unusual or very far. 100K would become the new 30K or 12K. Do you remember when some people were sort of targeting 12K, and it was just like
exactly, yeah. I mean, it's hard. I mean, assuming we don't have any sort of cataclysmic dumping of Bitcoin by any of these Bitcoin treasury companies, or massive ignition of the trade war. I mean, I think it's pretty likely Bitcoin can hold, above 100K. But like I say, it's difficult in these macro conditions.
Yeah, but to go back to that earlier question, it does seem strange. It does seem like with everything that's going on, we should be kind of heading higher, or certainly it doesn't seem unrealistic to expect that we can go higher from here, which I guess is probably one of those famous last word comments that sends us barreling down below 90s. Really,
don't want to jinx it. Don't jinx it, mate.
Absolutely. You can all blame it on me if it nukes down to 70K. But then again, this is one of these weird things that I see with I see with people in crypto. It's like you get to the point, and I know Rob is a big one for this, but you get to the point when you're seeing price action like this, lots of people are actually praying for it to nuke down to 70K because they feel sidelined, or they want to hoover up more. And now that they've had this kind of proof of concept, if you like, this this demonstration that 100K is a very achievable and kind of holdable level, you get the impression that especially retail, I think, are just itching to hoover some up if it wicks down massively.
Yeah, exactly. Like we discussed in the news on Monday, I think that the longer Bitcoin stays above 100K, the more it becomes entrenched in people's minds that it belongs there, right? It should be there, that the value of the asset is at least 100K. I mean, and we think about the coverage of Bitcoin now breaking above its all-time high, breaking above 100K compared to where it was in December, January. It's like chalk and cheese. Therefore, I think that people still aren't paying attention right now, at least the people who aren't in the market. And the more that they like sustains this level, the more they'll think, actually, I should actually get some Bitcoin before it starts going higher, because this is now potentially a floor. So yeah, it seems to be that. But you know how it usually goes, Guy. It's kind of like when Bitcoin was down at 75K, and everyone who'd seen it run up to 109K back in December thought to themselves, I'm not going to touch it now. Too risky. It's going to continue crashing. It's going to 70K. All the analysts say we're going to 70K. And what happens? So, trying to time the market. Time in the market beats time in the market all the time.
Absolutely. I've got to say, people watching and especially those commenting, I am shocked by how bearish some of you are. Lobster Fusion, who asked a very good question earlier, as high as we can go, I still believe we'll get a chance to buy back below 50K. I mean, I'm guilty of being bearish a lot of the time myself, but I mean, someone was saying 30K, I think, which is, or 40K floor. Sean is saying, I kind of think. I kind of think that, that would be a real sort of catastrophe, I think. I mean, who knows? This is crypto after all.
One tail risk I see, and I've been thinking about it more and more, is, so we know Saylor generally, he's been able to hold throughout bear market. The worst bear market in 2022, he held, despite strategy stock completely collapsing, despite the MSTR premium disappearing, despite all the FUD and everyone saying it's washed up trade and he's done, and he still hold, right? And he hodled. And that shows his conviction to it and his belief in the technology and his belief, the cyber hornet, this technological cyber hornet. But these other companies that have been accumulating, everyone, like this Tom, Dick, and Harry, every single company now is going to go and do their Bitcoin reserve strategy. And how steadfast are they going to be in holding through very turbulent market conditions if they start going below, if they start going below their equity value, and if their bondholders start knocking on the door? Will they be as steadfast as Saylor, or will they jeet their bags? That's what I wonder.
Yeah, that is a very good point. Yeah, because and I guess that is perhaps a risk that that a lot of people haven't foreseen, in that the supply is becoming so concentrated, and we don't know how paper-handed or diamond-handed these people are.
Yeah, exactly right. Although, to be fair, right now it still seems that Saylor has the lion's share of all of it. But I mean, 2.1 billion there, 2 billion there, here, and all of that, and eventually it adds up. And when they start slowly selling, at some point, if Bitcoin does start falling, it could precipitate a bigger fall. But like I say, it's a tail risk, right?
Yeah, but it's it is a good point. Something we should be aware of. Nick, a lot of love for the Monero video that you did.
Oh, thanks, guys. Yeah, no, I really do love Monero. It's a pity. It's one of these things where, in terms of the technology, it was one of the first cryptocurrencies after Ethereum. So my first Bitcoin, I bought Bitcoin, then I bought Ethereum, and then I bought XMR. And I was like one of the biggest XMR bulls back in 2017 to 2020s. But then I was worried about all these delistings and all that kind of stuff. But now I do think that, given the regulatory shift, even though, look, in the EU, they still want to be, they want to ban privacy coins and all that. I think the regulatory shift in the US has created like an environment where potentially US exchanges could start relisting XMR. And, still to this day, it exists as the unbroken king of privacy coins, despite all the energy and efforts thrown at it from the most advanced analytics companies to governments, nation states, and intelligence agencies. It still stands. So that's pretty admirable.
Yeah. And as you highlighted in that video, like, there's a lot of development happening on Monero as well. They're not standing still, and like some of these changes that are coming up, future upgrades and stuff are really, going to make it. I mean, I think the one about making ring signatories like exponentially more. So it's
up to a few hundred
even
million.
harder.
So it's crazy. Crazy, because that has always been a thing. This question of the amount of ring signatures, you're still with 16 had a reasonable chance that they could kind of guess it. And that's one of the biggest flaws, in the sense that if you eliminate enough rings or signatories to these ring signature system or scheme, you can potentially isolate which one signed the transaction. But with this upgrade, I mean, it's impossible, technically.
Yeah. Really interesting. So yeah, keep an eye on Monero and XMR. But yeah, it was good to cover that again, wasn't it? Because as you said in that video, like 2022, I think.
was last time, yeah. I mean, and it's good. I think obviously, look, at the end of the day, it's always the case where mind share follows what happens to price and what's been driving the price. I think that it is. A lot of it has been people moving Monero. Well, there was a massive hack, right? A $300 million Bitcoin hack or something, $300 million Bitcoin hack.
Yeah,
they were trying to get Monero, but they use Monero because why? They know that it's very untraceable.
Yeah. As someone pointing out, like, yeah, the Monero dev is working on a new privacy coin as well. That'd be an interesting one to look at.
Sorry, Ricardo Spagni.
Yeah. Ricardo. So that's not Fluffy Pony, is it? That's
Fluffy Pony. I think Fluffy Pony is working on Tari. Yeah, he left Monero in I think it was 2020 or sometime. He left as the lead maintainer, and then he started working on Tari. I think he's been working on it for quite some time. So yeah. Okay.
All right. Now let's see what else we've got going on in the comments as well. A few people asking, like, let me bring up this comment from Mike Bennett. Kind of dark, but another war like Israel-Iran could dump Bitcoin, then pump it. I mean, we see, like, whenever there's a sort of big geopolitical event, like, the instinct of a lot of people is to kind of dump, and we see this with, we've seen this with Bitcoin in the past as well, but it really sort of boomerangs right back up, doesn't it? It seems like a big geopolitical event is just something that sort of flushes out the really weak hands. And then everyone buys that dip like crazy, and it just goes back up. So I kind of feel like, obviously, we don't want to see any. There's plenty of war going on at the moment, and we don't want to see any more. In fact, we'd like to see a lot less.
It's even hard to judge where Bitcoin's going to go, mate, because even the past month, what sort of asset is Bitcoin trading at? Risk off, risk on. Bond yields are going up, stocks are crashing, Bitcoin's going up. Oh, but stocks are going back up now, then Bitcoin's going to rally. So its correlation is also an uncertain variable. And what sort of asset is it? Like, that generally is going to be a risk off geopolitical event, right? We should see oil completely spike. We should see, bond yields coming down. We should see dollar strength potentially. But how is Bitcoin going to react to that? It's difficult these days to judge.
Yeah, and I mean, really, Bitcoin should be the sort of thing that thrives amid geopolitical uncertainty. Like, the hairier things get, if you like, really, it would make sense for BTC's price to pump on that sort of news, because it's not affected. It's not like a stock that's going to be affected by supply chain disruptions, or or sort of more general market disruptions, or any particular country going to war. Bitcoin is neutral, and that's one of its great strengths. So it should really thrive. The worse things get, the more valuable, in theory, BTC should become.
Yeah, indeed.
Okay, a few more questions, and we'll finish it on the hour, I think, folks, because we don't want to put you through too much on a Thursday evening. Anwar saying, "Where's the suit?" Now, for those of you who didn't watch our live news show on our main channel on Monday, Nic basically shook crypto to its very core by going live in a suit. I think a lot of people haven't recovered.
It's suave, man. Yeah, I did. Although I didn't, because I wasn't keeping an eye on the comments, I did notice that my legs were a bit tight. The pants I was wearing were a bit tight. It's not because the pants were tight. It's because I work out my legs. But now I have taken those comments to heart, and I will make damn certain the next time I'm in the live stream, I'm going to go and wear slightly baggier pants.
I think as well, maybe we need to get a bigger desk.
To be honest, that live stream setup, hopefully when we get a new office, we can do a much nicer live stream setup with, like, actually behind a desk, where we're seated, so we don't have to. So it's like a situation where if I don't want to wear pants on a day, I don't have to.
Yes, people were really genuinely shocked by you breaking out the suit. But it was good. It was great. It was great TV.
It's great TV. Yeah.
Yeah, Jeff is asking. And Jeff, I discovered I sense a slightly sort of accusing tone. You sound a bit like my father here. Why are you not at the Bitcoin conference?
Yeah. Why are you not at school?
Yeah, why are you not at school? Why are you cleaning your room? Why are we not at the Bitcoin conference? Well, Jeff, we did think about it because, as I was saying to Nic earlier at the beginning of the stream, I have some really fun, happy memories of going to Miami in 2022 to that Bitcoin conference. The thing is, where we are in Dubai and where the conference is happening in Las Vegas, basically the other side of the bloody world is just a little bit too far, and we kind of felt like it was just, it was going to disrupt things. And there's no direct flights. So we'd have had to fly to, I don't know, like Miami, New York or something like that, then change. Yeah, I was exhausted thinking about it.
Yeah, no, 100%. But we are speaking to them. I think there's going to be the Bitcoin conference in Abu Dhabi in December. So we'll be going to that. But yeah, I mean, if maybe you say it's going to be in Vegas next year. So we'll see. Yeah. I mean, maybe if the bull market is fortuitous enough and we get a Coin Bureau private jet, maybe then.
Let's see.
That's
next on the list.
That's next on the list.
Okay. Well, we'll see about that. Now we've got a question that was asked earlier, and our wonderful production team has spec'd up for us. Only ETFs are driving the market. How will that affect a broader participation? Will the ETF money flow in the same channels, not naturally go into alts? New landscape shaping. Wow, Applebow's squeezed in a lot of questions.
Of questions there. Yeah.
I mean, I kind of think you could sort of sum that up as like, has market structure changed now with the ETFs? And will less money bleed from BTC into alts? Is that how you see it, Nic?
That's how I see it. And I think we've been discussing that for some time, right? We theorized that, and it seems like it could be the case.
Yeah, I think so. I think a lot of this capital that is pumping BTC's price via the ETFs is I think, Bitcoin is as exotic as those guys want to get. I think those of us who've been in crypto for a while and have large amounts of altcoins in our portfolios or whatever, or have had altcoins in our portfolios in the past, for us, BTC is fairly boring and the safe haven asset. For the majority of people out there, Bitcoin is still like, whoa, that's pretty out there. Do you know what I mean? It's like it's not digital gold to them. It's something very, very speculative. They don't look at it in the same way as we do.
Yeah, indeed. And one other point to raise here is how the market structure has changed for Bitcoin and crypto exposure more broadly, especially on the TradFi side. So if you think about it, in the past, altcoins have acted as a high beta play on Bitcoin, right? So that'd be a lot more volatile than Bitcoin. People would buy Bitcoin, they'd then rotate those Bitcoin gains into altcoin when Bitcoin topped, into altcoins, and then try and get more additional gains on the altcoins, being a high beta play to Bitcoin. However, in today's market structure, there are many sorts of products that one can use to get a higher beta and higher leverage on Bitcoin. Structured products through options instruments, through the ETF, through IBIT options. And this therefore means that large institutions, or indeed large whales or family offices, may try and get higher beta Bitcoin exposure through some of these instruments and won't feel the need to go into altcoins. So yeah, that's another theory I've seen being put out there.
Yeah, it's an interesting one for sure. I'm seeing there's a good comment here from Kamikaze Dude. Also, advice for anyone here: if we get an alt season, make sure to rotate profits into BTC. In 4 or 8 years' time, your alt may not still be around, but BTC will. Be smart with your gains. Now, obviously, Kamikaze Dude, that is not financial advice, but I do feel there's a lot of sense in that, and I think a fair amount of the profits that I realized this cycle will end up in BTC as well.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. The goal of trading altcoins is to increase the Bitcoin stack. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. That said, still a lot of disappointment with this alt season. If you can, this bull market, I think, and it's fair enough. Like I feel a lot of people's frustration with the sort of market recently. It has changed. The last year or so, the last 18 months have been so eventful for this market, and it's been difficult to kind of navigate it with all the changes happening.
Yeah, indeed, it has. I mean, like 2 months ago, even you think back to that, when Bitcoin was at 75K or something, and everyone was like, the end of the world now and all this. So, yeah, it's tough. And then now altcoin season, we are seeing some green shoots of it. So, let's see.
Yeah. Some altcoins will do well. I think, most of them are going to struggle to regain their all-time highs, but there will be a few outperformers. So it's just a question. I think really the thing is to pay attention. Like it's not going to be the case like in previous bull markets where if you just had a bit of crypto and you weren't all that interested, you could just kind of park it, come back to it in a few weeks, and chances are it would be higher. This bull market, this alt season, if such a thing happens, is going to be that the people who are going to do well are going to be the people who are paying attention, watching very, very carefully, keeping track of narratives, and watching excellent crypto YouTube channels like for instance Coin Bureau. I don't know if you've heard of that one, Nick. Very, very good.
Oh, vaguely, man, vaguely. I've heard about it in passing, something.
Rings a bell. Our time is pretty much up for today, folks, but I hope you enjoyed this format. NFA, I'm pretty sure we'll be back to sort of normal format next week when Ben and Rob have crawled back from Las Vegas. Hopefully their hangovers finally gone. But let us know if you enjoyed this format. I've got to say, Nick, I've enjoyed, we speak about crypto every single day. So this is a bit like just kind of hanging around in the office, shooting the breeze with you normally. But
the cool thing is our guests can join us, right? So that's cool to speak with them directly and hear from them on the fly. I love it.
Yeah, it's been great. So thank you everyone for joining us today. Thank you for all your questions. I'm sorry we couldn't answer them all, but there were so many coming through. I'm going to leave with this comment from Gianni because I love it. Guy, hey Nick, I'm taking the jet to Fortnum's as my tea has run out. That is definitely going to happen. That is definitely going to happen. If we get the Coin Bureau private jet, if we get the alt season that we all so badly want, I will be taking the jet to stock up on tea.
But you're not a tea fan, though, Guy. You'd probably be going to the gardening centre or something in the UK. Pick up some rare seeds for your latest experiment.
Well, yes, probably very true. Well, look, you'll be able to nip back to South Africa if you want to pick up some biltong or other cured.
Yeah,
cured
only
meats.
the best, man.
Fair's
only
fair.
the best in Zafferland for sure.
All right. Okay. Thanks everyone for watching. Nick, thanks for joining. I'll see you in the office tomorrow. The rest of you, man, we will see you on Monday for Coin Bureau's live news show on our main channel. Don't you dare miss it. I'll be taking names. Okay.
See you guys there.
See you then.
Cheers.
Thanks everyone. Bye.